he's been, I guess, signed on to write or to be the, I guess, lead writer and executive producer, I think it sounds like, or just producer in general, for the first live-action Star Wars TV show that will debut on Disney's new streaming service, which is due out in 2019, which is all exciting, and I'm sure we'll get lots of fun stuff from that. I think that's really cool news, mostly because from everything I've heard about him, he's just a huge Star Wars fan.
Yes.
And so if nothing else, he's going to like make...
I don't know if it'll be anything... It won't be edgy. That's not really his style. His style is more of an upbeat, can't speak, with comedy elements in there. There can be darker.
I don't really... a lot of people want an edgy TV show, but I don't even know if it's really necessary for Star Wars. I just want a compelling TV show.
Yeah.
With a good story. I mean, if it's edgier than the cartoons, I'll be happy. And that doesn't take much.
I generally like what he's done. He's worked on every Iron Man movie that's been out.
He was a big part of he was a big part of launching the whole Marvel kind of universe.
He worked in the Avengers. He's got his own... He did his own movie with Chef where he starred and produced in that. I'm not sure if you've seen that one.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I saw it.
I like that movie.
I just never saw it. It was good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a really good movie.
I always remember him as the UFC guy from Friends. Do you remember that way back? He was Monica was like dating him, I guess. The part that I always remember is she asks him after he gets his ass kicked or whatever. It's like, so you're gonna quit? And he's just like, I've got one question for you. Am I the ultimate fighting champion? No? And it just keeps on going. And they like creeped into his house or snuck in or something and found a receipt for like for a ring. It turns out it was like for his own personal octagon or whatever. That's where I always put him. And he was in the one with Reese Witherspoon and Vince Vaughn, Christmases or Four Christmases or something. He was like one of the douchebag brothers. Yeah. It's such a weird mix of things that he's done. He's like a really all over the place.
Yeah. And then he's gone into with Disney outside of the Marvel stuff. He's done the Lion. He's working on the Lion King, and he's done the Jungle Book, which did very well.
Apparently, Jungle Book 2 is something that's coming as well.
Interesting. Well, they've got the sequel going already on that one.
Yeah. That day that it was announced was International Women's Day. There was so much shit about that too, coming from people. I don't know what people are. They're looking for problems, I think, at some point. It's just like, oh yeah, another white guy is making Star Wars movies or whatever. And they're upset that it was being announced on Women's Day. But people are allowed to separate things, and it seemed like a weird...
I don't know if you really just...
I saw more headlines about that than I did about the fact that he was doing it.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think you really planned that thing.
I think a company just makes a decision to announce something. It's not like it was a surprise thing. I mean, they knew they were gonna... I mean, I'm sure they've been talking to him about it, you know? It was March 8th to most people. It was International Women's Day to people who knew. I don't know. Did you even know it was International Women's Day?
Yes.
To me,
if you read the internet or anything on the internet, you know it.
I guess, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I only knew it because of going on and reading
finding
the
Star Wars story.
Yeah. Which is funny because I actually went to a Women's Day event thing with Christina. So I knew it was in my head, but I didn't like put it together the day I woke up on Thursday. But yeah, speaking of Star Wars, we're just on this topic. Actually, next two things we've got here are Star Wars related. So Rebels is done. I was just it's not on your list or anything there. Mm-hmm. And I was wondering if maybe they might try to tie the live action series in with that stuff. I don't really think they're going to, but it'd be cool to see certain cameos for sure.
I kind of hope they go off on their own little story. It's just a little side adventure. Yeah. It doesn't have to be linked to Jedi or anything. Just some random planet out in...
What time period would you like to see then?
Honestly, anything.
Yeah.
Just come up with something new.
I guess not Old Republic.
I guess they're probably going to want to go newer to try and keep everything together as it is right now. They've kind of... Rebels has jumped to present.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they seem to be
all
really...
the Star Wars movies. They're trying to bring everything into this...
They're trying to really fill between episode 3
frame.
and 4, it seems.
Mm-hmm.
You got, Solo does it, Rogue One does it, Rebels did it. So I wonder if they're going to do more in there. It'd be cool to see a series you said you don't want to see Jedi in it, but it would be kind of cool to see like a series where the last remaining Jedi are being hunted by Vader or something. And maybe they have like a support network, and you just see like... And
it would be nice to see something from the dark side.
I guess that might be a bit too edgy, though. A bunch of Jedi dying as Vader hunts them down.
But I would like to see something where you see the dark side. I'd like to see a dark side story.
Yeah.
You're following some guy who's doing bad things, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, in TV, that's not exactly like an unprecedented type thing to do. I mean, Breaking Bad is essentially...
Same with video games. You've got... In the video games, Star Wars, generally, they've had that.
In movies, the good guy always wins, basically. So
video games, you
TV's the place where you can do it that way.
You had Force Unleashed.
Oh, I never played any of the...
You're playing as a Sith.
I only played the ship games.
You are the big TIE fighter.
Yeah, I don't think I played any... In Rebel Strike, the third Rogue Squadron, there were some ground missions where you're running around, but it's not like a story or anything. But yeah, with TV, like definitely like you think of like Sopranos or something where you're just following a villain the whole time. Breaking Bad, I mean, he's not really a villain, but it's still kind of edgy. A villain. And even things like Game of Thrones, you're definitely following the stories of both sides. Like there's definitely...
Yeah.
I mean, other than, I guess, if you consider the White Walkers to be the actual villain of that show, but I mean, Cersei's still a villain. And you follow her pretty closely in her story and all that. So you could definitely do that in a TV show where you just don't get the time to do it in a movie. Yeah. Yeah, either way, I'm really looking forward to it. It's too bad it's probably going to be... I wouldn't see it launching with the streaming service because that comes out in 2019, and I don't think they're going to do this before episode 9 comes out.
When is episode 9 out?
2019, at the end probably. So I would imagine it's going to be like a 2020. You know, the main saga will be done. They currently don't have any more anthology movies announced. Now they've just got this. And then, of course, you've got 2 other trilogies that they've got floating around there, but we don't know dates on any of that stuff.
Yeah.
I would just think they'd want to get kind of 9 out of the way before they really start going into the deeper cut stuff. Solo is safe. We know who Han Solo is. Rogue One, pretty safe. We knew it was direct prequel to A New Hope.
Obi-Wan.
That's not even really announced. And the more I read about it, the more I'm scared it's not going to happen.
I'd be so disappointed now.
Maybe he could be in the TV series somehow. Is Ewan McGregor too big to be in TV?
Oh, I don't know. I think he's been pushing for that long enough to get back in that role that he would be happy to do it.
Yeah.
Oh, I think he'd do it.
Because that would be cool. Maybe it'd be a Kenobi TV show. Because, I mean, it'd be hard to watch one movie that spans the 19-year history of between 3 and 4, and we know he was doing something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could easily be a TV show just about him. Either way, I really want to know. Yeah, I think Rebels, though, going back to that, I think it's going to be just another animated thing. Obviously, well, maybe it's not obvious, but the adventures of Ahsoka and is it Sabine? So many names are similar. The Mandalorian girl.
Yes,
at the end of Rebels,
Sabine.
With their little
now you've made me question myself.
Epilogue, or was that an epilogue if it's afterwards? Yeah, it's how epilogues work, right? Was that a prologue? No, prologues are before. Doesn't matter. Anyways, they alluded to the fact they're going to go off and try to find Ezra. What did you think of the space whales? Because you didn't really know they existed, did you?
I hadn't really followed the earlier parts of the series when they were introduced.
Yeah.
Doesn't bother me, though.
Yeah. I think because of its context.
It was the way they set it up in that in the End of Rebels, from everything I could see. There was a lot going on with the whole Force sensitive and animals being strong in the Force, so that didn't bother me.
Ezra and animals, basically the whole series. Yeah. It's an interesting thought, though, that obviously there are spoilers to Rebels here. If you haven't seen it, you've already been spoiled. Maybe I'll put a little warning up on before.
I didn't spoil it too much.
Stuff happens.
Yeah,
we're like 2 weeks late on this anyway, so it's,
hopefully, if you're a big Rebels fan, you would have followed this.
Yeah, you shouldn't be watching entertainment podcasts if you're worried about spoilers for anything, really. Yeah, but the windows were broken in the Star Destroyer when they went off into hyperspace. I mean, I don't know how hyperspace works, but I imagine it's hard to breathe. So it's an interesting concept. I mean, Leia, we don't really know much about how she survived there in space. You can survive a little bit in space, But I wonder if maybe Ezra was able to put up a force barrier of some kind to keep the oxygen in. I don't know. And in that case, would he save Thrawn while doing that?
Do the space whales put up some
Did the
sort of
space whales
protection?
maybe like as they accelerate through hyperspace, they get squished against the windows and just plug them up, and so it's all safe. And while they're traveling, they're like, "Well, I guess we better get to a deck with air."
I believe the whole thing with surviving in space is not allowing it to get inside of you.
Yeah,
like if you're breathing,
hold your body,
keeping
tight.
Everything closed.
Yeah.
Is
Otherwise, it'll take all the
way.
air out of you really quick.
And it'll freeze.
Yeah.
You got moisture in your lungs.
Right.
We just watched that snow movie.
Yeah.
Why can't I think of that? Wind River?
Wind River, yeah.
Where he died.
It's a disturbing thought. The ice crystals build up in your lungs and then like burst them, basically.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't sound like a fun way to go.